You've heard the phrase go with your gut, right? Well, it turns out that's way more literal than you might think. What if the trillions of tiny bacteria living inside you were having a direct conversation with your brain? A conversation that could influence your mood, your stress, even your outlook on life. Today, we are diving deep into the incredible science of the gut brain connection, and we're asking a pretty wild question. Could the future of mental health treatment be found not in a pill bottle, but in your gut? All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll get a handle on the depression dilemma and why we're so hungry for new solutions. Then, we'll take a trip down the gut-brain superhighway and meet the potential heroes of our story, psychobiotics. We're going to break down exactly how these microbes might be chatting with our brains. And finally, we'll get real and ask the big question. Is this a true medical breakthrough or just the latest wellness fad? So, let's start with the big picture. Depression isn't just feeling the blues. It is, without a doubt, one of the biggest public health challenges we face today, and its ripple effects touch everything from families to the entire economy. To really grasp this scale here, just look at this number, $71.1 billion. That's the annual cost of depression in the US alone. And that's not just prescriptions and therapy. That number represents the massive weight of this condition on our society. It's exactly why the search for new answers is so incredibly urgent. And look, the treatments we have now are an absolute lifeline for millions of people. But they don't work for everyone. Far from it. We see that remission rates can be frustratingly low, and side effects are a very real issue. This gap in care is precisely why scientists are so fired up about exploring entirely new avenues. So where are they looking for these new avenues? You might be surprised. They're looking to the gut. For so long, we just thought of it as our body's plumbing. But what we're learning now is that it's much more like a second brain, with a high-speed, direct line to the one in our skull. And this amazing network has a name, the Microbiota Gut-Brain Axis. The best way to think about it is as a biological superhighway. And this isn't a one-way street, folks. It's a constant two-way conversation between the trillions of microbes down there and the main command center up here. So how does this conversation even work? Well, from the gut up, bacteria are producing all these chemical messages that travel to the brain. And from the brain down, your thoughts, your stress, your emotions, they can actually change the physical environment in your gut, which in turn affects which bacteria get to live and thrive there. It's this incredible dynamic feedback loop. Okay, and this brings us to the stars of the show. We're talking about specific helpful bacteria that scientists have nicknamed psychobiotics because of their incredible potential to impact our mental health. Now, of course, not all bacteria are playing on the same team. When it comes to mental health research, two families are really the MVPs right now, Lactobacillus and Bifidobacterium. And if those names ring a bell, it's probably because you've seen them on the side of a yogurt cup. They are at the very heart of this research. But you know, science loves a good plot twist. Just when researchers think they've got the main characters all figured out, a totally unexpected player walks onto the stage and changes the story. Get this. In a recent study on major depression, the group that took a probiotic saw their levels of a microbe called Akkermansia muciniphila go way up. Now, this was not one of the usual suspects. But here's the kicker. The increase in this specific bacteria was directly linked to better sleep. And we all know how absolutely critical good sleep is for our mental well-being. All right, so we've got these bacteria that seem to be helping. But how? I mean, how on earth can a microbe living in your intestines actually get a message to your brain? Well, it turns out they have a few different channels they can use. The first route is the most direct. It's basically a physical wire, the vagus nerve. This thing literally runs from your gut lining all the way to your brainstem. It's like a fiber optic cable, zapping information back and forth between your digestive tract and your brain. And we can actually see this happen. In one study, researchers measured vagus nerve activity in people with major depression. And look at this. After just 3 months, the group taking a probiotic had a significant improvement in their vagal function, which is a key marker of a healthy response to stress. The placebo group, no change. That's real, tangible evidence. The second channel they use is inflammation. We now know that depression is often linked with chronic, low-level inflammation in the body, while certain probiotics act like tiny firefighters, helping to cool things down by lowering inflammatory signals like IL-6. At the very same time, they can boost something called BDNF. Think of it as Miracle-Gro for your brain cells, helping them grow strong and make new connections. And the third and final channel is all about chemistry. Our gut bacteria are basically tiny chemical factories. They churn out compounds called metabolites. One of these is called homovanillic acid, or HVA. Now, HVA is a byproduct of dopamine, the feel-good neurotransmitter. And what's wild is that people with depression consistently show lower levels of HVA. So where does this important chemical come from? You guessed it, our gut microbes are making it for us. Research has pointed the finger directly at bacteria like Bifidobacterium longum as being a key producer. So a healthy gut might literally be manufacturing mood-boosting chemicals for your brain. It's incredible. Okay, this all sounds amazing, right? Almost revolutionary. But it's really important that we take a step back and give this a serious reality check. Is this really the future of mental health care, or are we maybe getting a little ahead of ourselves? Let's just ask the question we're all thinking. Can you just go buy a probiotic off the shelf and cure depression? Well, as you can probably guess, the real answer, it's not quite that simple. This is where the story gets really complex. Check this out. In one study with mice, under chronic stress, an increase in those so-called good bacteria actually led to higher levels of fat molecules in the brain that, get this, caused depression-like behaviors. It's a huge reminder that context is everything. The very same microbe can be a friend or a foe, depending on the situation. And that complexity creates some major hurdles for scientists. A lot of the research is still pretty new, the studies can be small, and often they're not even done on people with clinical depression. Plus, we have to remember, depression isn't just one thing, and neither is the gut microbiome. We are talking about a unique ecosystem of trillions of organisms. We are honestly just scratching the surface of understanding it all. So here's the bottom line. We've moved past the point of asking if our gut and our brain are connected. We know they are. The big question for the next decade of science is how? How do we figure out how to safely and reliably use this incredible connection to help people? That's the real frontier in mental health.